Happy anniversary. Hashtag I'm with AEW to AEWDynamite after a phenomenal, incredible year. And now we're on the verge to see maybe everything change as this Wednesday, all titles are on the line. What a show to come. And what a last couple of weeks it's been. Things have been rather busy and hectic, but it's good to be back. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to AEWSPARK Re-Ignited as we look back at the previous 2 weeks and what's to come this Wednesday on the anniversary show of AEW Dynamite. Not to mention look back at maybe some of our favorite moments, biggest highlights, and some takeaways I feel like we really should consider when it comes to what AEW Dynamite has given us in the first year, what they have overcome, what have they done, what we might see in the future. I was expecting to have others on here, but again, everybody's going through their own lives, struggles with schedules. There's been various changes as well. So I wish them all the best. And I hope to spark a conversation with great friends I know in Team All Elite and the Primetime Predictions League again very soon. If you haven't already, check out the recent podcast I did with my good friend Cindy G on all things wrestling, NJPW, Impact Wrestling, independent wrestling wise. It's support wrestling, I suppose that's the heart of it. With that being said, let's go ahead and Brian get into the discussion. So I want to first talk about what we saw as far as special breakout singles matches. We had Ricky Starks and Darby Allin finally go at each other, really bringing their rivalry to the forefront one-on-one in what was an amazing show opener 2 weeks ago. And in the end, Darby Allin, he was able to prevail over Ricky Starks with a coffin drop to the Absolute One's spine. But it was about to come with a post-match beatdown until Will Hobbs came and fought on behalf of his friend. Thanks to Will Hobbs stopping Brian Cage for getting involved in this match, we had a fair, legitimate, one-on-one clean win and one of the biggest wins in Darby Allin's continued growth as a rising star. But he and Ricky Starks definitely stole the show with that match. I also want to look at the fact that just this past week, we had a match of two big powerhouses going at it, as Will Hobbs and Brian Cage showed us what two heavyweights can do from even a cruiserweight standpoint, as they duked it out for Brian Cage's FTW title. And I must say, it was a very competitive match. I can see why they signed Will Hobbs. He definitely demonstrates strong willpower, strong in-ring capability. And I thought it was a really good opener, too. And in the end, Brian Cage did win with the drill claw after Will Hobbs went off broke with a moonsault, fell short. But you got to consider, you already have 4 rising stars in AEW out of these guys. You have Will Hobbs, who recently got signed. You have Darby Allin, who's been made over this first year, including the matches he's had with Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, the hot tattoo himself, which still stands out as a standout moment for me. His rivalry with Cody and his 3-match classics there. There's been so much that Darby Allin has accomplished over his first year as part of AEW. Truly one of the highest, brightest, original rising stars to come out of All Elite Wrestling. With that being said, we go into a tag team match, which has been the forefront of AEW Dynamite since its inception, as now we've had these brushes of greatness every week, it seems now, for the AEW Tag Team Championships, as FTR, with Tully's help, have successfully defended these titles against both TH2 just last week, but also SCU's Scorpio Sky and Kazarian 2 weeks ago in an absolute classic. It is incredible what these tag teams bring, not only as tag team competitors, but also as singles individuals. You can never count out SCU short. They came so close, but the outside influence, both times I might add, of Tully Blanchard, have allowed the tag champs to retain the gold. But now it finally seems that the Rangers are coming into play as the #1 contenders and best friends. They will finally get an opportunity for the tag team championships this Wednesday. We'll go more over that when we preview this Wednesday's AEW Dynamite. But I just want to give some brief highlights regarding the tag team division. You figure about the standout tag team wrestling match of the year, heck, maybe the last decade, that we got back at Revolution with the Elite, with Hangman Page and Omega versus the Young Bucks. You think about the tag teams that have graced us now and have been a part of this scene, including the debuting Butcher and the Blade. I think about TH2. I think about the Lucha Brothers. I think about Proud and Powerful. There is not one tag team here that is short of just brilliant when it comes to in-ring athleticism and action. Heck, even Dark Order, I'll give them credit. 3 and 4, and now this sub-team of 5 and 10, who finally got a win on Dark, because as always, supposed to shed some light on Dark. Their tag division is only getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's truly something amazing to see. And kudos to FTR, who have continued to retain the gold. We also look at the original homegrown stars of AEW, but especially this name has to be on everyone's mind when you figure about what they have done in 1 year with the likes of Jungle Boy, MJF, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. You think about Orange Cassidy, this random anomaly that nobody knew about, that not even JR understood, and nobody took seriously. That's his thing, though, and he's owned that, and he's a legitimate great wrestler. And now Chris Jericho has even put over this guy as a top tier star who recently contended for the TNT Championship against Mr. Broyley a couple of weeks ago. Came close, but fell, of course, to the discus clothesline, which then brought forth the return of the American Nightmare Cody, and once again bringing us a one-of-a-kind match and moment, thus putting over himself not only for professional wrestling, but for professional wrestlers. You think about the fact now that Orange Cassidy is going to challenge Cody for the TNT Championship this Wednesday. That's going to be a one-of-a-kind match and one-of-a-kind start to the second year of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into all that, let's talk about MJF a little bit. This brash, arrogant, young, traditional, old-school type wrestler is taking his career now in a different direction, as it looks like he and Jericho might be building a program. Is he trying to join the Inner Circle? Does Chris Jericho want to be in the Inner Circle? As Chris Jericho recently celebrated 30 years in professional wrestling, and it has been a who's who of incredible moments and one-of-a-kind memories and promos when it comes to Le Champion, Le Sex God, Le Demo God, the Million View Man, the greatest of all time, Chris Jericho, as they went out last week, Saturday Night Live style, with all the heels in the ring. Freaking MJF hugging Sammy, and Sammy just stone-faced. That was freaking brilliant. And of course, they had a match with an old-time rival in Lufer and this new hybrid tag team with Serpentico called Chaos Project. Last week's main event of AEW Dynamite, I thought was pretty good. But of course, Jericho won with the Judas effect. Come on now. But you wonder, is MJF trying to break up the Inner Circle or take it over? How does Wardlow play into all this? There's just some things to really think about when you look at what we've seen over these past couple of weeks. When I think about Chris Jericho and what he's given us, one-of-a-kind promos, the Lexicon, we had the Stand and Stampede, we had the Mimosa Mayhem, we've had the great debates, we've had so many fun moments, the Thanksgiving thank you party. There have been so many incredible fun moments with Chris Jericho for AEW Dynamite. I can't think of enough for everything he's given to wrestling. And we'll definitely talk about the fact that during the 30-year special, all these celebration and thank yous from wrestlers, rock stars, sports entertainers alike, including not limited to Chavo Guerrero, Gabriel Iglesias, you know, Fluffy, rock legends like Gene Simmons, what's the other guy's name? I'm drawing a blank. Dang, there are so many. Shaquille O'Neal, but the biggest one, of course, that really blew up the world, Ace New Japan Hiroshi Tanahashi, who wants to challenge Chris Jericho in at least 2 more matches. I thought that was really interesting, considering how we are going through a change of leadership in New Japan Pro Wrestling as well. Now I want to look at the women's division, as we got some more women's build up over week 2. Finally, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. She's finally back, and it looks like she's better than ever. She brought out a new move too, not really a curb stomp, but more like a heel type stomp, / kick hybrid, taking out Red Velvet in quick succession, followed of course by locking in the lockjaw, of course, which of course someone had to come in and break that up, but no one did. Short, simple work. It's good to see her back in the ring. I think about this women's division, how people have really been throwing a backlash against it as far as its build, booking, overall matches, because truth be told, match quantity has been very limited, but it has not hurt the match quality, I feel like, overall. When I think about leaders that have led it, like Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, Big Swole, Penelope Ford, who's broken out this year, especially with her match with Shida for the title earlier during, I think it was Fight for the Fallen. I think about the homegrown original talents they have now signed and been a part of this division and made stars out of. Abaddon, who's lurking in the shadows. Chris Statlander, who is absolutely unbelievably phenomenal. I can't wait for her to return. Boop. I also think about Anna Jay, the most original homegrown talent now in AEW, out of the Dark Order, and the thing she just debuted out of nowhere against Hikaru Shida. Thought she was going to be this bright rising star. Now she's the ultimate dark star in the Dark Order, bar none. I also think about Shana, one of Portugal's greats, DBC inspired, who's definitely been a huge part of this women's division. Looking forward to her return as well. And of course, I can't forget newly signed now, Ty Conti, who is just beyond ecstatic and happy where she's at now, finally signed with AEW. I feel about the other times been showcased on Dark that have extremely impressed me, including not limited to Red Velvet, Danny Jordan, Kenzie Page, Kylan King. I still think Kylan King is someone they definitely should sign. She brings a little bit of everything. And I finally feel like they're going to take the right direction, the women's division, with Serena Deeb part of it. We've seen what Serena Deeb has done now with some of the talent and non-signed talent of AEW, including Kylan King, and most recently, Big Swole. Big Swole and Serena Deeb had a really good match last week, I thought. I feel like Serena Deeb, with her in-ring experience and coaching capabilities, is going to really help define this women's division as well. And then we go into, of course, like I said, we got our tag team championship match. We talked about the big powerhouse. We talked about maybe MJF's agenda. We talked about the match that has been built now all the way to anniversary, that between Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. And Jon Moxley says, like you said, everybody dies. I may not come out of this with the title, but you're going to have to do everything you can to take this title from me. Jon Moxley's not one to celebrate. Jon Moxley is simply here to do his best and try and win. And Lance Archer, he's finally going to do what he couldn't do at New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom. And we got actual footage of that, folks. Just more subtle teasing. Just saying, just saying. We will see what happens this Wednesday for the AEW World Championship. Now, before I go any further, let me talk about some of the incredible matches we have had over the year of AEW Dynamite. From the first and only so far ever steel cage match to the unbelievable street fight recently had with the Best Friends and Proud and Powerful, to the one-of-a-kind, all-out, no-DQ, brawling-type matches, to the original inventions of Chris Jericho, like I said before. But we got to talk about what was built over just 2 weeks, really 5 weeks when you think about it, as Mr. Brody Lee defended the TNT title against a darker, it seemed, more vicious, aggressive Cody in a dog collar match. And these two, if you did not see a dog collar match, as they had an originator of the dog collar match in the audience, Greg the Hammer Valentine, they absolutely lived up to everything that match stands for. Blood, brutality, technical wrestling, high risk, and chain calculated induced pain. And while the setup really seemed like it was Nightmare Family versus Dark Order still, I love the fact that nobody else within the Dark Order Nightmare Family got involved here. It just came down to 3 adversaries: Mr. Brody Lee, the champion, Cody, the challenger, and the opposition, the Chain. In the end, the Chain had definitely played for both men. We saw crazy moves, including that pull into the cutter. We saw Cody literally pulled out through the audience, back into the arena area. We saw low blows with the Chain. We saw a ridiculous package pile driver through a table. And of course, we cannot just ignore the emphatic ending of it all, where Mr. Brody Lee's face, eyes, and nose was wrapped around that Chain, and one last crossroads at the previous crossroads, where I might have Mr. Brody Lee immediately kicked out before it won. It finally put Mr. Brody Lee away, and Cody won, and Mr. Brody Lee simply said, much respect to Cody. I say much respect to both. Why people think it might have hurt Mr. Brody Lee and maybe the identity of Dark Order, I don't think it did. Mr. Brody Lee is already an established name, and he is there to help grow AEW. And his mere presence with the Dark Order has defined these few people you probably never even heard of or even thought about before as even a real threat. Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Anna Jay, John Silvers, Alex Reynolds, Alan Angels, and of course Preston. They've all been helped thanks to Mr. Brody Lee's presence in the Dark Order. And I don't think that's going to change with the fact that he doesn't have this title. Now, whether or not the Nightmare Family and Dark Order feud is over, only time will tell. But we know that AEW is trying to bring more talent to the forefront that is not as huge names, which is why we're getting all these crazy moments. I mean, look at the insane brawl we had 2 weeks ago after Cody emphatically accepted the dog collar match. At one point, we had Kylan King versus Nyla Rose, and that match is going to happen tomorrow. Kylan King, go kick some ass. That's all I got to say about that. We also figure about other debuts we have seen on AEW Dark that people are very optimistic about, maybe them being part of AEW, like Alex Garcia. I keep thinking about Sean Dean. I keep thinking about Lee Johnson and their incredible run. Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison finally got a win on AEW Dark. That's got to tell you something. And of course, we've had other huge names like, well, no pun intended, like Poof and Badu and Risen and Anthony Rollins. There have been so many incredible talents we have seen now really getting a chance to shine what they can bring in AEW Dark, and it has led to some of them really getting a big win. Ben Carter being the biggest example. Personally, I'm just more glad to see people like Matt Sydal and TH2 back in action, but that's just me. And Skylar Moore and Big Swole, I thought they had a pretty good match on Dark as well. But again, I'm just basically telling you all about the wrestlers, the atmosphere, the presentation, what's happened over the last couple of weeks of AEW overall, all things All Elite Wrestling, and so much more to come. We have quite a stacked show this week, and I can only imagine what craziness is sure to ensue. By the way, that Saturday Night Live WrestleJoy video for Jericho Celebration, that was freaking funny. If you haven't seen that yet, I highly suggest you do it. Best friends calling FTR weenies. It might be a little overkill. They actually put up the very first episode of AEW Dynamite on the AEW YouTube channel as well. So if you haven't already, please go check that out. Okay, so before I talk about this week's episode, let's go ahead and look down the line at the last year of AEW Dynamite. I just want to point out some of my favorite moments to you. You think about the inauguration of this company, started with bringing a foundation and a real eye-opener to tag team wrestling. A lost art among most of the industry, it would seem, especially the biggest player. But they really brought back with the team, with the opening tag tournament. We thought the Young Bucks would be your first champs. No, they put over this young up-and-coming duo, Private Party. Private Party have been a shining original example of a tag team since being part of AEW. We, of course, had interesting singles feuds like Pac versus Heyman. We think about debuts that have happened over the year, like Hager, Miro, Matt Hardy, Mr. Brody Lee. The list goes on and on. I think about October, and I think about the biggest moment for me was definitely the very first show, of course, that's really set this up. The opening match was Cody versus Sammy, and it really set up a lot as Jericho, of course, created the Inner Circle during this time, too. And we also, of course, had great moments heading into October and November. One of my favorite matches still from AEW Dynamite this first year was Paige and Omega versus Pac and Jon Moxley, and the subtle exchange that Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega had. And JR's like, inside out, upside down. That match still stands out to me as one of the best overall matches in AEW Dynamite. You move forward, though, into November. You think about Shana, who really made a powerful debut against Hikaru Shida, a real eye-opener. Contract signing for the AEW World Championship. We really learned what it means to build a match, how contract signings are supposed to be presented, how you make them feel big without overblowing it or wasting people's time. You think about SCU, who became the first ever tag team champions, and Jon Moxley's promo that talks about how he basically is the biggest, baddest son of a bitch in this game. Cody with one of the most powerful promos in all of AEW with the hard times type promo, literally risking the fact he will never challenge for the World Championship again. We had, of course, the Phoenix versus Nick Jackson Hidden Gem singles match that I like to think really showed what Phoenix can do as a single star, though he has not been able to showcase himself like that much, as he's been, of course, a tag team with his partner, Pentagon L0M. I also, of course, figured about that Dynamite Dozen Battle Royale that got introduced, where MJF really showed what he is character-wise, when he, of course, turned on Cody after the events of Full Gear. We, of course, had our first taste of Mox versus Darby as Darby challenged Jon Moxley in what he said previously about challenge your mortality, and it really set up, of course, this long-term feud and respect, I feel like, between Jon Moxley and Darby Allin too. We had Omega versus Pac, the match that was supposed to happen from AEW All Out, but it didn't due to, reasons. And it was a trailblazer. Butcher and Blade, they finally became part of AEW with the bunny, Allie. Yay, Allie. For the short period of time, they were a trio. Chris Jericho, one of his original inventions, the Thanksgiving Thank You celebration. And then, of course, we go into December, and one of my favorite moments from there, Chris Statlander. She has landed in AEW, had one of the strongest runs in women's professional wrestling I have seen in a very long time. And we have also had Best Friends and Lucha Bros, our first taste of that. We've had the lexicon of La Champion. Jungle Boy went 10 minutes against Chris Jericho. We saw what QT brings as he is a wrestler, really his real first shining showing as he tagged with Cody against Butcher and Blade. And this, of course, renewed the rivalry with Cody and Darby Allin after Darby Allin came in for the save, and they became a tag team. But then you think about the moments that really kind of hurt AEW's vision when you saw the Dark Order botch beatdown at the end of the year on the Elite. And you think about the Nightmare Collective idea they were trying to go with. And people, of course, still were very judgmental on Little Tiny Riho overcoming all these super heavyweights like Nyla Rose and all these other players, including Hikaru Shida, back at AEW All Out. But they turned that around with the rematch they had in Homecoming, where Nyla Rose became champion, and the match really garnered crowd favoritism. As Rico and Nyla Rose, they drew the crowd back in to that match. You figure about that Dark Order flop, they turned it all around with the idea that an Exalted one was on the way. And of course, we had Cody versus Darby Allin again during the Homecoming show back at Daly's Place in January, where Cody did win, but you notice Darby Allin was still a megastar. And slowly you figure maybe he's turning heel, but no, he sticks mostly just to his roots. He's a loner, he's a renegade. And of course, we had Trent versus Moxley, and Orange Cassidy and Moxley had their little face-off, and MJF lays down the stipulation that would set up their big match for Revolution. And we got to talk about one of the most defining moments in AEW Dynamite. That wasn't even a wrestling match, but garnered some of the most emotional interest ever. The 10 lashes. Who knew that one segment could tell you so much when it comes to building a wrestling match, defining someone's will and passion to get what they want, and how far somebody can truly be tested. We had Britt Baker, of course, who gave her real botchy promo, it seemed. Maybe nervous, if more so, on the Jericho Cruise. And then following that, she basically owned it, really defined her heel character, started this whole idea of being a role model, bashing the city, and really just became a cocky ass heel. And it really worked with the character development that Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, and Tony Schiavone have put into her, including but not leading to, of course, our COVID era, where she and Sheeta had one of the best matches during it, and her shirt became a #1 bestseller on Pro Wrestling Tees. And that's why I still think Britt Baker is a future women's champion waiting to happen. There's been so many incredible things that happen at Diamond. I could give you a month-to-month breakdown. Maybe I'll do what I did last year during the last day this year and give you like a simple man's run in wrestling for all AEW Dynamite and AEW in general. But we'll wait and see on that, because again, there's only so much time with life right now, especially even from home, and it is taxing. And again, I can continue on and on. You think about who came in for the TNT title when that was first introduced. You think about Lance Archer and his emphatic impact, Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston, and so many more names that were signed. Arn Anderson becoming the coach of the Nightmare family. And just overall, as I hear it every week on Unrestricted, the vibe of AEW, where they say it's not very political, it's just more organic, merit-based, everyone's there for each other, period. I could talk about AEW all night, but that's not why we're here. But I just wanted to give you some brief, feedback from a simple man's view when it comes to the highs, the lows, the excitement, the moments for me I can remember off the top of my head, and just why I value and enjoy AEW. So with that being said, let's go ahead and look at this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, the anniversary show. 1 year, folks, 1 year. Boy, you talk about a championship showcase. This is what Clash Champions should have been. Oops, sorry. Anyway, let's go ahead and break down this show. So as I said, all titles will be on the line. MJF is supposed to be making a massive announcement, and chances are we'll probably learn the last two participants in what I forgot to mention, the 8-man single elimination tournament to figure out the next contender for the AEW World Championship. And so far, the people involved in it are Heyman and Page, Kenny Omega, Cabana, Ray Phoenix, Wardlow, there's a name I did not expect, and who was the other one? I'm drawing a blank. Maybe someone can help me here. I'll figure it out later. Anyway, we still have two participants left. You wonder if MJF is going to announce his entry into the tournament by just, himself, because he's bad, it, blah, 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 blah. Or is he going to say, Chris Jericho, I officially want to join the inner circle? So we'll wait and see. But honestly, I don't know. And then I think about Wardlow, who is in this. We haven't heard anything regarding MJF's stance on this, as he's not in it yet. But it still makes me want Jungle Boy. That's it. How could I forget about Jungle Boy? Whoops. And again, we still have 2 more people left. But right now, let's go ahead and just think on MJF's thing. He came out, celebrated Chris Jericho last week. Does he want to be part of the inner circle? Is he trying to get involved in the inner circle? I don't know about you, but I think it's just leaning to Chris Jericho versus MJF at Full Gear this year. That's all I got to say about that. Now, as far as Miro, apparently Miro will be back in action with Kip Sabian. And despite people's concerns about him maybe being injured in his debut tag match, seems like everything is okay, as he and Kip were playing video games. And literally, excuse me, they are just, playing video games on the heel side, of course, because they're gamers, but also he's the best man, and we're just wondering where this wedding's going to go to wait for the bachelor party, while people are already throwing a little bit of backlash to that with the subtle idea of this controversial but leading gaming champion Billy Mitchell helping Miro with this. So we'll see what happens. But also keep in mind, folks, we're less than a month away from their next pay-per-view, Full Gear. And according to the poster, there's going to be a lot of interesting homegrown matches, it looks like. I mean, I'm looking at Miro, Matt Hardy, Anna Jay, for example, on the poster to AEW Full Gear, as well as Tag Team Champions and Team Taz. So we'll have to wait and see. Okay, let's go ahead and continue talking about this anniversary show. As far as the Miro match goes, it's probably just going to be a match because, again, the real meat of the card, folks, we got 4 championship matches. Let's break them down. Our first match we'll look at, of course, is the TNT Championship match. As once again, Cody now is a 2-time TNT champion. And this first defense in this title reign, he has been challenged and accepted freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, who just came off a match 2 weeks ago against Mr. Broyley and lost, but again, has been one of the hottest rising stars, and still top merch there apparently, in all of AEW. And Cody simply says, you think I'm going to just go to the dark side, turn heel because I changed my hair? No, I am doing this for you. I am standing by you. You have stood by me, and I am coming in to AEWDynamite 1 year later and defending this title. This match could be groundbreaking. I never thought I would see Orange Cassidy this soon as a champion in AEW. And then I think about Cody, maybe going back to the original roots. It would not surprise me if it goes back to the golden hair next week. But something in me tells me that right now, Cody is probably going to hold on to this and continue what he did in his first reign. Because apparently he might have just relinquished it temporarily because he was injured or off doing other stuff. But I just feel like Cody right now is going to renew what he did before. Open challenge every week, bringing in fresh faces while bringing up current valued names in AEW. Heck, I would love to see Stu Grayson take him on one-on-one. I keep looking at BT and I see the dynamic with Anna Jay and Stu Grayson. Stu Grayson can be a top-tier single star. John Silver even, little tiny, annoying, fun, hilarious, now unmasked, by the way, with all the work he's put in now impressing Mr. Broyley. Who knew you could actually get unmasked in the Dark Order if you impress. John Silver right now, who just came off his first singles match, I might add, against QT Marshall, and won. I can see John Silver challenging for that TNT title. Heck, he's been the one holding it for Mr. Broyley like he was champion. So there's a lot of interesting names I see right now that are going to go after Cody, I think, versus Orange Cassidy. I just don't think Orange Cassidy needs the belt, to be honest with you. So I think Cody's going to retain. Then I look at the other part of the best friends, literally, in Trent and Chuck, as they will finally get another opportunity to challenge for the AEW World Tag Team Championships after keeping their way pretty much in the rankings and once again becoming #1, even after losing out earlier this year to Kenny Omega and Heyman Adam Page. And honestly, Best Friends have been probably the best tag team to find in AEW, especially with what they did during the COVID era alone. The amount of work they put in the matches, my God. So here we are, FTR, who right now are in their Brush of Greatness run. They are 2-0, and of course won the titles off Heyman and Page and Kenny Omega at AEW All Out. Sorry, Carol. I think about the Best Friends. I think about their future tag team champions waiting to happen, but I can't ignore the X factor here, and that is Tully Blanchard, who has really allowed the champs to maintain their grasp on those tag team titles. And then I subtly think about the Elite all turning heel. And you wonder when the Young Bucks are going to be back in action, will they make their presence known here? Do they want FTR? What is their end game? Are they waiting on Omega to say, initiate the plan? Is the cleaner leading all of this? So with that being said, I feel like right now that FTR are going to retain. It should be an incredible match because Best Friends, we know what they can bring. We know what tag team wrestling in AEW can bring. But I got to go with FTR on this one. And I'm curious to see who the Young Bucks super kick next. They've super kicked everybody from Alex Marvez to Tony Schiavone to a cameraman now. They better not do anything to Dasha. I dare them to try and do that. That's breaking boundaries right there, breaking barriers. Speaking of which, let's talk about women, as we got finally again a women's championship match as Hikaru Shida, the Kenny Omega of the women's division, in my opinion, and I'm sure many others. She once again defends her title now against Big Swole. Big Swole coming off the tooth and nail match against Dr. Britt Baker DMD and successfully winning that back at AEW All Out, even though Britt Baker may not have been 100%. I thought that was a really fun match. And then, of course, we had the great match leading into this that Serena Deeb took Big Swole and her physical capabilities to the limit, and Big Swole got the best of Serena Deeb. Big Swole has been very motivated, very impressive. I fought her and Little Swole, and I really hope they do sign the Coastal Boy. I loved that team so much. I feel like Big Swole has great potential, but again, I think about who can step up to Hikaru Shida's level. We've seen Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa now be a tag team partners and even challengers, and Hikaru Shida was able to overcome Thunder Rosa. Respect to both these incredible professional wrestlers, champions, and world-renowned fighters. With that being said, I kind of right now see Hikaru Shida holding the title for a couple of reasons. One, we know that Nyla Rose is waiting in the rings with Vicky Guerrero. That's going to add a whole new dynamic if that match happens, which I do see happening before Full Gear. I think about Anna Jay, who's trying to recruit Ty Conti into the Dark Order. I think about Ty last being saved by Hikaru Shida. I think about Ty hanging out on BTE with the likes of Jurassic Express and Luchasaurus. And Anna Jay, like, hang out with people your own age. Something tells me that Anna Jay is going to try and find her way to challenge Hikaru Shida for the title, and I think she wants to go in with some backup. Then again, I see this other underlying feud with Red Velvet and Brandy forming a team, challenging maybe Anna Jay and a partner of her choosing. And of course, I know Allie, yay Allie, she is one of my all-time favorites who I believe I would love to see her go on a continuous singles run as we see it suddenly started on Dark a couple weeks ago. I would love to see her challenge for the title down the line too, but I'm just happy for her. But right now, I feel like Hikaru Shida is just on a whole nother level versus every woman right now in AEW. If this was Shana or Chris Statlander, imagine that being a triple threat match. I think I would be saying a very different tune of music. So with that being said, I think Hikaru Shida is going to retain. Which leads me now to the big match, the main events. And this match, literally when you think about it, is 9 months in the making. Murder Hawk Lance Archer takes on PWI 500, #1 wrestler of the year, and honestly, one of the founding building pillars of this AEW run when it comes to being champion, Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley, of course, recently coming out Bloodsport, an incredible main event against Charles Dickinson. Great stuff from Dirty Daddy. If y'all haven't watched Bloodsport, I highly encourage you to do so. Go buy it on Fight TV. You won't be disappointed. It's good to actually put your money into wrestling that's worth the investment. Just saying. Anyway, I look at Jon Moxley's run. I look at it like this. He's beaten everybody, big and small. He successfully defended this title against Jake Hager, Darby Allin, Brian Cage, MJF. And I'm pretty sure, oh, and Eddie Kingston most recently. But Eddie Kingston apparently says there's hell to pay for you, Moxley's not done with him yet. Now we got Lance Archer. The last time these two were in the ring together was back at Wrestle Kingdom, where Jon Moxley beat Lance Archer for the IWGP United States Championship, which, might I add, Jon Moxley still has. He still has that belt, but there is one person right now with a briefcase that could challenge him for it, and that is Kenta, if he still holds that briefcase based on what's happening recently. I think about this match. I think about Lance Archer. I think about what could be next in going forward in AEW. Lance Archer has been one of the most built superstar wrestlers, dark word, in all of AEW since coming with his mouthpiece, Jake the Snake Roberts, or should I say influence. We saw him had an incredible run in the TNT title tournament, fall short to Cody in the finale at Double or Nothing. He won his way back up to the rankings and through a casino battle royale, eliminating Eddie Kingston last, and now he finally can challenge for the title. When I think about who could lead AEW in their new year, and give us a new identity. And we know Jon Moxley, he's going to do everything he can to hold this title. And I think about what might happen maybe 1 year in the making. Part of me kind of wants to believe that Jon Moxley will retain. But I actually am going to go with Lance Archer becoming our new AEW World Champion for a couple of reasons. One, it will be a brand new identity to AEW. And it will be not a former WWE name holding their title. It will be a real original talent part of AEW. And I can see Lance Archer going very far with this title against the likes of Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, even Wardlow and him might have a match. And again, based on the fact that all these people I just mentioned are in a tournament, that might be the next person waiting for him in the wings after Full Gear, because the finale of this tournament will take place at Full Gear. Now, with that being said, I look at the fact that you have Kenny Omega and Heyman and Page in this, and I think it's going to come down to these two, not counting out anybody else. But I also think about maybe somehow Kenny Omega is not maybe winning this, but he does set up a program with Jon Moxley, because I feel like the big moment at the end of the anniversary show is going to be Jon Moxley defeated, lights go out, we get some sort of weird video package, heel elite, led by the cleaner, Kenny Omega returning. And there's your new beginning for AEW Dynamite for the next year. Just saying. And with that being said, that's really all I have to say for right now regarding all things AEW. The bottom line is this. I've really enjoyed what they brought this first year. These last 2 weeks have been incredible with some one-of-a-kind moments and matches. And now I look forward to what's next. As far as the World Championship picture, the Elite all may be going heel. Cody's new TNT title run, is it short-lived? Who will step up in this women's division? How will the women's division be redefined over this next year? Not just starting with Anna Jay, clearly. And of course, what's next for Jon Moxley in win or defeat? The bottom line is this. Things are continuing to look bright for this young company that people have had so much to say, good, bad, indifferent. And literally, we've only gone 1 year with this show, who, might I add, is one of the top 100 shows in all of television. Congratulations to AEW. I can't wait for the anniversary show and can't wait to see what's next. And I also have a solid announcement for you all, too, because I've been doing this now for quite a while. I feel like I should have this from the beginning. Starting this Thursday, from now on, I will be giving aftershock specials of Spark going forward. That will just simply be AEW Dynamite reviews. I decided that I just like this product so much, and being home now and finally establishing a schedule, this feels like the perfect opportunity to just really see where we go this year. Why not start it off with the beginning? So this new year, you're going to get AEWSPARK previews and reviews, and we'll see what comes from it too. I also look forward to seeing who else might be on Dark. I would love to see Killer Kelly just get one match on Dark to show us what she made of. Killer Kelly, I would just love to see her in AEW. She's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. And again, congrats to her recent marriage engagement. So that being said, that's all I got to say for now. So thank you for tuning into this simple, all things, all elite wrestling, AEW celebration special of AEWSPARK / preview anniversary show of AEW Dynamite. You want to know more about me? Know this. I'm just a simple man. I just talk. I'm a lifelong fan. ... wrestling. So follow me, Instagram, Twitter, PlayStation, and in Foster1916. Follow the simple YouTube channel here, youtube.com/C/NoFoss210 for all things wrestling. Shout out to my AEW family on Twitter. There'll be continued coverage this week on AEW, as well as daily coverage, of course, of G1 Climax 30. We're in the final stretch. There'll be, of course, a new episode of the NXT scene, probably up tomorrow, regarding everything that happened in this last week in NXT. And of course, start following me on Twitch and Foster1625. I'll be doing streams this weekend in Crash Bandicoot, Fall Guys, maybe another game too. Only time will tell. As always, you want to know more about about, it's in the description down below, but you know what to do. Support NoDQ, WrestleJoy, The Bullet Cast, Team All Elite, The Primetime Predictions, Meltdown, Greg Cherry Brand, Jeff Meacham Network, buy a shirt. And as always, support for wrestling that's the heart of it, folks. And support wrestling out big and small. And let's keep growing. This incredible, diverse, unique, elite, authentic, unscripted, unrestricted wrestling community together. Simple as that. With that being said, I thank you all so much for tuning in. Whenever you want to, please like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend, hit the bell, no next video goes on this channel. Hit the subscribe button. Help me keep growing this channel. Shout out to all my 60 AEW that's moving now on this fun YouTuber creation journey. It's not laying up anytime soon. More wrestling gaming content to come in the future, I guarantee you, as well as a special simple anniversary stream as I celebrate my 2 anniversary as a YouTuber, literally 12 days from today. But that's all I got for now. So take care, enjoy live. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. Treasure your families. Enjoy wrestling. There's more of it now than ever. Find some promotion, some company, something that can connect with you. Make a friend or rob you out to. I dare people to challenge virtue. And I'll see you all after AEW Dynamite. So with that, goodbye and good night. Simple as that.